Good evening, everybody. Welcome to episode 172. Today we're talking about ADHD and hyperfixation. Okay, so before I start, I want you guys to think about differences between the hyperfocusing and hyperfixation. Okay, you don't look up a dictionary because I didn't. Use your head to think what the difference would be. All right, so hyperfixating is different from plain old focusing because it's much more extreme. Someone who's hyperfixating might listen to some album on repeat, watch the same TV series again and again, incessantly to achieve athletic goals, spend extensive time researching a random interest, or crochet until their fingers go numb. They often talk about their interest at length, go out of their way to learn more about it, and spend the majority of their time doing things related to it. But there's also a bad side to it, so think about that. When you are transfixed on one pursuit, other responsibilities tend to fall by the wayside. Not necessarily. Sometimes we neglect other things or other people, which is true, but again, not necessarily. If we don't show up in our relationship in the way we should, or we neglect like personal hygiene. A teenager, for example, might play video games for an entire day, like my brother, never stopping or washing his hands or brushing his teeth. Okay, that's not part true. Hyperfixation sort of sucks you in, she says. Sometimes people talk about the vortex or rabbit hole. It's hard to get out of it once you're in it. Now, I take that definition as addiction. It's not hyperfixation, like what I researched on and what this doctor was saying, or researcher. If you're hyperfixating on something, you won't think about anything else. It simply won't register in your brain. I think that's on the very, you need to make a spectrum out of that. And that's on like extreme spectrum. Like my brother literally broke down the door that my mom locked up when he was in high school, just so he can play World of Warcraft. There we go. Sorry, I'm not a gamer. And I consider that's something different. Okay, so who's most likely to hyperfixate? Anyone experience hyperfixation, but it's particularly common among people with neurodivergent condition, including ADHD, autism, spectrum disorder, anxiety disorder, or OCD. I can see OCD doing that. Can't really see the anxiety disorder come to, maybe, that's true. Think about that. That's true. I just thought about something. ADHD, I'm definitely still researching autism. I've been interested since I was a kid, but never really had a chance to, really get into it. All right, so I'm going to define a little bit about the difference between autism, ADHD, and OCD, how it relates to it. People with autism, for example, tend to have special interests that result in depth knowledge or passion about a topic. One of the doctors knows literally everything about a vacuum cleaner. He says one of his patients. You can ask him how it works on a specific model number, and he'll be able to tell you all that, and it's due to hyperfixation. Okay, now OCD. Meanwhile, might experience intense, unwanted thoughts that their day revolve around, such as cleaning the house to avoid contamination or obsessing over one specific person, like a potential love interest. Okay, I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about the contamination part. So my grandmother has OCD. Every time she touches money, I heard this from my mom. Every time she touches any money whatsoever, she washes her hand with rubbing alcohol because we had a pharmacy. My grandma had a pharmacy, my dad too. And I thought that was really cool, but that is definitely OCD. Now, moving on for ADHD. Hyperfixation among people with ADHD might seem paradoxical. You would think that they'd be easily distracted, but when it comes to certain activities they find extremely stimulating, they can become so locked in, they lose track of time and neglect other tasks for hours. Now, that's not bad. That's not a bad thing. That's hyper-focusing. So think about the difference between those two. I never heard of hyperfixation, and that's me. I'm learning. But as soon as I read this article that I combined together, it's a difference. There's a difference, definitely. So the upside and challenges. Hyperfixation isn't inherently good or bad. They can benefit, especially for people who know how to harness it. Becoming utterly immersed in something often stimulates an incredible amount of passion, creativity, and learning. And that's what I spent doing yesterday and the day before. It's just intense research overnight. And I was tired, but I couldn't go to sleep. My doctor wanted me to go to sleep. So anyways, my body got used to it, and I can't hyper-focus overnight anymore. But the way when I hyper-focus, it's amazing. Like I put everything all out over the floor. By the end of the night, everything's organized in tabs, in the binder, and that's hyper focus. And I can, my body changing, and I can hyper focus a lot more, with my medication. And sometimes that distracts me from wanting to take the next dose earlier to hyper focus. So think about that. So managing hyperfixation. Again, this is obviously CBT I talked about before. Set time limits and listen accountability partner or supporter. Seek true peer support. Leverage in their interest, but do not manipulate them. No, I'm serious. Don't. So in conclusion, however, there are subtle differences in hyperfixation and hyperfocus, in my opinion. So please comment your thoughts, subscribe, and let me know what articles interest you. And thank you. Have a great night.